This is Mike from Middleton Motorsports. We've had a few questions on the auxiliary upfitter switches and if they can be retrofitted to your Bronco that does not have them from the factory. The answer is yes. Unfortunately, the only downside of the other question is how expensive are they? And that is almost $1,000, plus you have to have them programmed. So if you had the money for this, might be worthwhile for you to do it, but you know, we'll go through the process anyways. To get these auxiliary upfitter switches installed, you will need three main parts. The upper console, wiring harness, and the fuse box. You can get these from your local dealer, otherwise we are going to put a kit together at a discounted price. All right, without further ado, let's go get this stuff installed. Before we go any further, first thing you always want to do when you're doing electrical work is disconnect the battery. We're going to go ahead and disconnect this negative terminal here. 10 millimeter. All right, now we're ready to work. We're going to start with a fuse box. To start with that, we got to remove the cover. There's just two tabs at the back. Push both in at the same time, kind of lift it up, and one at the front. Simple as that. Next, we got to disconnect this 13 millimeter for the power here. Did you disconnect the battery yet? Make sure you do that first. Next we'll be using a flathead screwdriver. There's a tab right down in here. Push that over, lifts right up. There's a little hook right there, just if you can see that. Next one here, there's one tab right over here. Just go kind of twist the screwdriver in there, lift it right out. Now that's all disconnected. Next, three 7 millimeter screws here. These do not come all the way out. They'll just stop. You can kind of feel it when it disconnects from the connector. Need a flathead screwdriver again. There's one tab right here. There is another tab kind of hidden on the back over here. We'll try to show you when you get it out. And then one back here. And then one more right on the back side over here. To get that, it should just come right out. Oh, this one must be grabbing just a little bit still. There we go. Old fuse box out. We got the new fuse box here. It has 6 additional fuses, which is for all 6 auxiliary switches. That's the reason we need this. Body harness that it connects to already has all the wiring you need. So we're gonna go ahead and snap this in. Let's get it all lined up. Clips in. Start by tightening up the 3 7 millimeters. Don't over tighten these, you are going into plastic. Doesn't have to be, just get it nice and snug. All right, so we'll get these back on. Line these up. Should clip right into place. Hear that click. Next one, same thing. Put the nut back on. We're out at the Bronco now. We're going to start installing these auxiliary switches. The first step is to remove the 2 front roof panels, which are already off, which everybody knows how to do that by now. But we're going to go ahead and start by removing this cover where the panels latch to. So we got to take this piece off first. It's a little tricky because you have to pinch the clip on the back side so you can get it out, otherwise you will ruin the panel. So you can see I'm bringing down the needle nose screwdriver here. You want to catch that clip right there. There's two little tabs. Once you get them, it'll slide right out. Same thing on this one right here. Squeeze those. There you go. Perfect. If you don't do that, you will ruin the plastic. The next step, 8mm socket. You've got to remove the airbag cover here. 3 screws. These screws are excessively long. Oh. Now, once you have those out, this panel should just clip right off. Just like that. Set that aside. Next is, we got to remove this trim piece right here. It'll just, well, might be easier if you get a plastic pry bar tool here. It's gonna sneak it in here. Pry against this little metal part here. Should pop right off. Then it's gonna be tethered on here, which we gotta remove this T20 here. Go ahead and remove this. And this will just slide right out the top here, just like that. All right, next step. Clip right here. Go ahead and just pry this out. Just a plastic clip there. And we got 2 8mm screws. Take both of those out. These are a little tricky to get out. You can see it's got this little T end on there. This little slot in the body here. So you have to slide it this way and then line up just right and it'll slide out. Now we can lift this off to the side here, just gently just leave it in place. Next is remove the sun visor. Slide this out this way. Then plastic trim tool again. Get in here and just kind of like get it to pop off this. There you go, got that side. And this will come off. Slide it off to the side. And that looks like a 7mm. And then if you look at this here, it kind of latches on and hooks on. So you got to lift, kind of lift and twist it out. Some of them will have an electrical connector. This one does not. Next, you got to remove these 4 screws, or T30s. Once those are off, should just pull right off. A couple clips. Now this panel here, it's held in by clips. I'm just going to pull this weather stripping down. And this panel here, just get behind it. 1 clip there, another clip in the middle, and there's 2 at the bottom. Now we can go ahead and start removing this panel. All right, so I'm gonna start, just kind of grab at the corner here, pull down, get these clips released. Get another one over here. And you gotta lift it out. So clips here, 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 and here. Now the passenger side's all apart, repeat the exact same process on the driver's side. Next, we're going to remove these sun visor mounts. There's just a little spot you can slide a little flathead screwdriver in. Just go pop it out like that. Open it up. Next, we're going to pop this cover off. It helps if you have a 90-degree plastic wedge tool here. So you get behind the panel there, kind of pop it out. We got to disconnect this connector right here. Push it on this tab here. It'll slide right out. Now we have to remove the harness from both sides. We'll start with the passenger side here. Push this pin in there, slides right out. Got some other plastic trim here. This just pushes onto this hose. We got one more connector up top here. And then we'll go onto the driver's side. We got the driver's side disconnected now, so we should be able, there's 4 clips on here. We should be able to just pull this right down and the harness should come with it. We're about midway now. It might look a little intimidating, but it really isn't that difficult. As long as you have some patience, you should be able to do this job. So next we're going to get on to mounting the switches in this panel. We're going to start by removing the original overhead console and harness. The first thing is this microphone here. Just take a little bit of pressure, pop it out. And once we get this out here, there's a tiny little tab. Disconnect that. Set that aside. Now this connector, take a flathead screwdriver, twist it in there, slide that out, pull this through, so remove this. Start taking the harness off this panel. And we can get rid of that now. 4 screws, all T20s. Once you have those out, it should pop down right at the back side here. Slide right out. We've got the new overhead console here with the auxiliary upfitter switches. So we're going to get installing this into the panel. Start by, there's 2 little hooks here. Slide it into the front here, and then you rotate this in and it should click. Now we rotate this over. 4 screws. Don't over tighten because these are all plastic. Now we're going to start installing the harness on this panel before we get it fitted in the vehicle. We're now going to attach the harness. A real quick, easy way to tell which one's the driver's side is the driver's side has a lot more wiring than the passenger side connector. Otherwise they look identical. So the side with all this extra wiring goes to the driver's side. Start by That's the connector for the rain light sensor. This is if you have a rear view mirror, but we don't have that, so we got to tuck that away somewhere. But we'll start with installing this connector here. Clip that in. Got our upfitter connector now, which is tucked away in here. Clip that in. Looks like there's a little spot here to clip the harness into. And then this wire is for our microphone. Just feed that through here first. Go ahead and plug that in. Now we can start finish routing this harness. This clips in right here. Now we can get this installed back in the vehicle. Time to go back together. I did just tuck, these are the connectors for your rear, the sun visors, but if you don't have the electrical connector on them, just tuck them back up in here, they're not needed. Slide up here, there's the 4 clips. We're gonna get these, try to get these lined up. So it's going to be just like the removal. Everything's going to be the same in reverse order. Make sure to plug this harness in. Push it until it clicks. Next we got to put the A-pillar trim in. Make sure you slide it in this way and then push it down. There's a little hole you got to line it up with in the back. Once you get that lined up, should clip in there, a couple clips there, clip there. Now we're going to go ahead and put the airbag back. There's a little pin here, line up with that hole. And this has that little weird looking T fitting here. You got to slide it in just right. Again, these are 8mm. Clip this back into here. Install this 8mm bolt back in here. Got a torque wrench, set it to 9 Newton meters. We got to go down and torque this one also to 9 Newton meters. So we're going to slide this onto the A-pillar. Then put the T20 screw in. This panel just clips back in place. Next, we're putting the sun visor back on. There's a little tab here. Make sure you slide it up in, pull it towards the back, and it'll pretty much hold itself there for you. Take the 7mm screw. Snug that up, slide the cover back around here, and this is going to clip back into place. There's a little tab that over on this left side here. We're going to slide that behind this panel. Get it all the way flush. Bring it up over here. Clips on up at the front. Then we can start our 3 8mm screws. All right, now have you come over here and we'll do the trim on this side. Next, we're going to install this trim panel. Line up at the bottom of the 2 clips. Clip those in. Slide it in up by the A-pillar. We're good. Then we get the handle out. We've got 2 clips here. Gonna start by getting that clipped in there. 4 T30 screws. Now we can line up this. Got the last piece here. Clip it in. Now we get on to the fun part, testing it out. Now we got the battery hooked up. Let's see if these things work. Ignition on. All right, we already have fog lights hooked up, so, oh, that one turned on. That one turned on. You can even see the color changing on the switches here. We didn't even program this thing yet, so that might actually not be needed. Yeah, everything works. So that concludes the install here. Overall, pretty simple. Just need some basic tools and a little bit of patience. But overall, it's factory quality, obviously, and looks great, works fine, no programming needed, and it functions. So we've tested it, and everything works. So I knew everybody, hopefully, answered your questions. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for any future videos. Betty bought some butter, but she said this butter's bitter. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. There you go, got it. Round the ragged grass, the ragged rascal ran. Tittle tattle, Eddie edits, pitter patter. I think we're ready.